Hello, and welcome to another B.T.F.O. Today we're going to be talking about Novocaine, the latest in the 1 to 2 word action movie series. Previously we've covered Love Hurts and Cleaner. Today we're covering Novocaine. And I will say this right now, I recommend Novocaine. I am going to go into spoilers, so if you're interested in seeing Novocaine, I would recommend you go see Novocaine. But if you're going to stick around for the rest of the BTFO, thank you. Remember to like and subscribe and all that jazz, but we'll just get into it. So yeah, I liked Novocaine. I would say quality-wise, it's probably on the same level as Nobody. Maybe slightly below. I like it a little bit less than Nobody. Just because I think Nobody was shot better. Because Nobody is a really good-looking movie. Very visually interesting, and Novocaine has times where it can become very visually interesting, but it also has times where it's kind of ugly and flat and not shot very well, and it has a couple of, I don't know if it's editing mistakes or if they just, the way they shot it, they didn't get all the coverage they needed. For example, when he gets the gun knocked out of his hand the first time, when our titular character of Nathan Kane, or Novocaine, he gets his gun knocked out of his hand, and I guess it flew into the back of this restaurant. Because then they show the two of them fighting, and they are in the back of this restaurant, and then the gun is just on the ground in the back of this restaurant. And so that, to me, I remember being oh, was that was there a deleted scene where they got into the place? Because I could have sworn his gun just flew off into the ground in the alleyway. But I guess it ended up in the back of this restaurant. And it's okay, fine. It's not a huge issue. It's just something where presentation wise that could have been smoother. And then I think the other reason why I would put Nobody above Novocaine is because Nobody had some really interesting villains, and they were really fun to watch. Whereas Novocaine doesn't really have that. It's not that the actors did a bad job, but the characters of the villains are not very, they're not very deep at all. The funnest one to watch is the, big, muscly tattoo guy. He was pretty fun on screen. But even the main, what will become the main bad guy by the end, where they try and have him be he's a robber, but he's also kind of a psychopath, and he mainly does this for the thrill of it. It's that's kind of interesting, but at the same time it's well, they don't really do a whole lot with that. Which is kind of unfortunate, because it definitely does feel like the kind of concept where it's well, yeah, if you've got a guy who can't feel pain, and so he's just never gonna give up, it's well, yeah, what if you just had the bad guy be a guy who seeks pain for the thrill of it, and so he's gonna try and give Novocaine more and more chances, because he finds it fun. That could have been an angle that they took. but they don't really do that. Like, they just have him be kind of sadistic in a way that just allows Novocaine to survive for the rest of the plot. And it's like, okay, that's kind of lame. Like, again, wish you would have done something more. I forget the actor's name, but the guy who plays Ned Leeds in the newer Spider-Man movies, he's there. I do kind of wish that the trailer hadn't put him in there, because this was another one where it's like, damn, I didn't realize how many like moments from the movie the trailer was gonna kind of ruin. Where like they have the whole setup of we're just gonna call him Ned, but like Ned's been set up as Novocaine's like online friend, and he says that he's like 6 foot whatever, with a ponytail, and like he rides a Harley, and then like it gets revealed that it's Ned when he shows up later, and so he's like this fat Asian guy, and it's like, oh yeah, the problem is that I knew that because I watched the trailer. Like, you know, it would have been nice if that hadn't been ruined by the trailer. But like there were twists, where obviously the main twist being that his like girlfriend isn't actually a hostage, and that she is the adopted sister of like the 3 robbers. It's like that wasn't ruined by the trailer. It's like, okay, that's a neat twist. I kind of wish they did more with it, because I don't really like that they just sort of like by the end of the movie, when it kind of comes up that Novocaine just killed her brothers, she's like, well, like they were assholes. Like that's kind of the attitude that she takes, or she's just like, yeah, well, fuck them anyways. And it's like, I don't know, man. Like they were your brothers, and like, I don't know, at least the other 2, they did seem to like care about you. Like maybe not the psycho one, but like the other 2, they seem to be like caring. It's like, I don't know, like I know they're not the best of people, but I do wish that was one element that the film, like, you could have used, and I kept expecting that, like, oh yeah, that's gonna create a conflict where it's like, oh, she does really like Novocaine, but she's also not cool with the fact that he killed her brothers. But they just kind of brush over that. I do like that the end of the film does address that, like, no, these people did commit crimes, so like they do have to serve time for that. Whereas like Novocaine, he gets house arrest, and then like followed by like I think they say like 5 years of parole, which it's like, yeah, okay, like they're light sentences, so that, you know, if they wanted to do a sequel, they can. And they can explain it as like, oh yeah, they just got out of jail, and like, oh, it turns out he's not on probation anymore. But it's like, okay, like, you know, that's fine. It's not great, but it's also not terrible. Like, I am glad that it got addressed. And yeah, I would recommend this movie. I think there is a lot of good character work in it, where like I think the girlfriend, she has a pretty good like character, and I like that they definitely take advantage of like Novocaine and like the idea that you've got someone that can't feel pain, and they really try and flesh that out, which is nice. I do wish that they would have tried as hard to flesh out like the villains, but otherwise I would wholeheartedly recommend it. So I am glad that at least one of the 1 to 2 word action films is in the the good category, like the actual recommended category. So I guess we'll see. We've got, I think next is The Working Man, followed by The Accountant 2, The Amateur, Nobody 2, From the World of John Wick, Ballerina, and I'm sure there's probably more that I'm either forgetting or haven't heard of yet. But yeah, I guess we'll see when those come out. For now, that's gonna be it. So, bye-bye.